Let me ask you something most people never pause to consider. What do you feed your mind every single day? Not just what you read, not just what you watch, but what you believe, because here's the truth. Success isn't built by what you do. It's built by what you believe, and what you believe is shaped, nourished, or poisoned by what you allow into your mind. When we talk about success, most people rush to tactics. Hustle, grind, early mornings, late nights. Strategies, calendars, planners, all good things, but all of them external. And anything purely external is fragile. Because the moment life pushes, and it will push, tactics fail. What keeps you standing is what's within. And within is where the real war is fought. So let me share a story. Success is something we often chase with our schedules. We buy planners, download productivity apps, and build routines stacked hour by hour. We think if we can just organize our days better, we'll finally unlock the results we want. But here's the truth most people overlook. Success doesn't begin with a plan, it begins with your mindset. Not the structure of your day, but the state of your mind. You can wake up at 5 a.m., hit the gym, read a book, and still walk into the day with a defeated mind. You can check off every task on your list and still feel behind. Why? Because actions alone don't create success. It's what fuels those actions that matters, and what fuels them is belief, clarity, and internal strength, things that live in the mind. When your mind is strong, your choices become purposeful. Your discipline has direction. You're not just reacting to life, you're responding with intent. But when your mind is cluttered, scattered, or starved, no routine in the world can save you from burnout or discouragement. That's why two people can follow the exact same schedule and get radically different results. It's not about the structure. It's about the source of their motivation. One is operating from fear, insecurity, or pressure. The other is operating from purpose, resilience, and conviction. This doesn't mean habits and calendars don't matter. They absolutely do, but they are tools, not foundations. Tools work best in the hands of someone who knows what they're building. If you don't know asterisk, why asterisk you're working so hard? Or you've filled your days chasing things that don't align with your values. Your hustle becomes hollow. You may look productive on the outside, but inside you feel empty or lost. That's the danger of trying to fix an internal problem with an external solution. If your mind is filled with doubt, fear, or comparison, a busier schedule won't fix it. You have to go deeper. You have to ask, what beliefs am I operating from? What narrative is running in the background of my thoughts? Am I moving towards something meaningful, or just away from discomfort? It's your mindset that determines how you interpret failure, how you process setbacks, and how you bounce back from disappointment. Someone with a nourished mind doesn't see failure as final. They see it as feedback. They learn, adjust, and keep going. But someone who hasn't strengthened their mindset sees every obstacle as proof that they're not good enough, not ready, or not capable. The real foundation of success is built in quiet moments, when no one's watching, no one's clapping, and no results have shown up yet. It's in the conversations you have with yourself, the thoughts you choose to hold, and the beliefs you allow to shape your identity. Before you ever win in public, you have to win in your mind. So if you feel stuck or like you're not moving fast enough, don't just look at your calendar. Look at your mindset. What are you feeding your thoughts? What are you saying to yourself when things go wrong? Are you building your days around purpose or just activity? Success starts long before the first task is completed. It begins with clarity, with belief, with a healthy, disciplined, focused mind, because the mind is where action takes its meaning. And without meaning, your work is just motion. You don't need more hours in the day. You need more strength in your mind. Because that's where success truly begins. We live in a world that's louder than ever. Notifications buzz before we open our eyes. News headlines scream at us from every direction. Social media feeds us a constant stream of opinions, updates, comparisons, and distractions. And somewhere in the middle of all that noise, we are trying to find clarity, trying to figure out who we are, what we're here for, and how to succeed in a world that never stops shouting. But the mind, much like the body, becomes what it consumes, and if we feed it noise, we end up confused, anxious, and directionless. To truly grow, to lead, to succeed, we must feed our minds with truth. Truth isn't always the loudest voice. In fact, most of the time, it's quiet. It comes through reflection, deep thinking, and honest conversations. But when we don't deliberately seek it, we get swept away by noise disguised as truth. We start believing things like, I'm not doing enough. Everyone else is ahead. I have to prove myself constantly. These aren't truths. They're toxic narratives shaped by a culture obsessed with speed, perfection, and external validation. Your mind is your most valuable asset. It's where your decisions begin, where your courage is born, where your vision is shaped. If your mind is full of noise of fear, driven content, negative self-talk, or surface-level thinking, it becomes harder to access the deeper truths that fuel real growth. You can't expect peace when you feed your thoughts with chaos. You can't expect focus when you surround yourself with distraction. And you can't expect purpose if you're constantly absorbing content that makes you feel lost. The people who go the furthest in life aren't the ones who consume the most information. They're the ones who consume the right information. They protect what enters their mind. They don't let every voice have equal weight. They pause before they accept something as truth. They know that every piece of content is shaping something inside of them, and they treat that process with respect. Feeding your mind with truth means being intentional about what you read, who you listen to, and how you speak to yourself. It means learning how to question your thoughts instead of believing every one of them. Not all thoughts are true. Not all beliefs are helpful. Some are inherited. Some are reactions. And some are just noise dressed up as wisdom. Truth grounds you. It clears the fog. It reconnects you with who you are beneath the pressure, the fear, and the expectations. When your mind is nourished by truth, you stop reacting emotionally to every challenge. You develop perspective. You gain patience. You can focus on what actually matters instead of being pulled in 100 different directions. The challenge is that truth takes effort. Noise is easy. Noise is automatic. But truth takes intention. It requires you to slow down, to reflect, to ask better questions. What do I really want? What do I actually believe? What's the right thing to do? Not just the popular one. That process might not feel efficient, but it's powerful. It's how you build an unshakable mind in a world full of shaky values. If you want to become someone who leads, creates, or builds something meaningful, you can't afford to let your mind starve on noise. You have to protect it. You have to feed it daily with what is true, noble, lasting, and strong. The world may not slow down, but you can. And in that space, you'll find the clarity that noise can never offer. Because in the end, you can only rise as far as your mind is prepared to go. And your mind can only go where truth has taken root. Distraction is the default setting of our world today. Everywhere we turn, something is pulling at our attention: messages, updates, news alerts, ads, opinions, and endless entertainment. The average person picks up their phone hundreds of times a day, often without realizing it. We scroll through content, jump between tasks, and live in a state of constant mental fragmentation. In that kind of environment, success isn't just about effort, it's about focus. And the only thing powerful enough to consistently cut through the noise is vision. Vision gives your mind something clear to aim at. It's not just a goal or a wish. It's a vivid picture of your future that's emotionally meaningful to you. It's what makes the hard work worth it. It's what turns discipline into desire. Without vision, everything feels urgent. With vision, only the important things matter, and that distinction changes everything. Most people don't lack motivation, they lack direction. They start the day with energy, but end it wondering where the time went. Why? Because distraction is always ready to step in when vision steps out. When you aren't connected to something bigger than your current task, your brain defaults to the path of least resistance. That's why it's so easy to procrastinate, scroll endlessly, or get busy with things that don't actually move your life forward. Distraction doesn't always look harmful. Sometimes it looks productive, answering emails, attending meetings, chasing opportunities. But even productivity becomes a distraction when it's not aligned with your vision. You can be busy all day and still get nowhere if you're climbing the wrong ladder. A clear vision protects you from that. It acts like a filter. If something doesn't align with where you're going, it doesn't get your energy. But here's the challenge: vision fades without attention. Just like a muscle, it needs to be exercised. You can't just write it down once and forget about it. You have to feed it, revisit it, speak it, feel it. You have to make it louder than the distractions around you. That's not a one-time decision. That's a daily discipline. When your vision is loud, your distractions lose power. That notification doesn't feel as urgent. That temptation to quit doesn't feel as convincing. You don't need to summon motivation every morning because your direction is already set. You start acting with intention. You build your schedule around your mission, not around your comfort. And that shift, over time, compounds into massive results. Vision also makes you resilient when things go wrong, and they will. Vision reminds you that setbacks are just part of the process. Without it, failure feels like a dead end. With it, failure feels like feedback. Distractions steal your time. Vision redeems it. The truth is, life will always be full of noise. You can't eliminate every distraction, but you can make your purpose louder than your excuses. You can anchor your actions in something bigger than how you feel in the moment. That's the power of vision. It pulls you forward even when motivation fades. It keeps you grounded when life gets chaotic. It reminds you why you started and where you're going. So if you feel scattered or stuck, don't just look at what's distracting you. Look at what you've lost sight of. When your vision is strong, clear, and emotionally charged, everything else gets quieter. Focus becomes natural. Decisions become easier. Progress becomes consistent. Because at the end of the day, success doesn't go to the most talented or the busiest. It goes to the most focused. And focus is the result of vision made louder than distraction. Gratitude is often misunderstood as a soft feel. Good emotion, something to practice when life is going well, or something polite to express in passing. But in reality, gratitude is a form of mental strength. It is not passive. It's not a reaction to perfection. It's a deliberate mindset, a discipline of choosing to focus on what is good, what is present, and what is working, even in the middle of pressure, stress, or uncertainty. Gratitude is not weakness, it's power, and it's one of the most underutilized tools in the pursuit of success. Most people associate strength with toughness, with pushing through, with grit. And that matters. But mental strength isn't just about how much you can endure. It's also about how well you can stay grounded, clear, and emotionally resilient while you're enduring it. That's where gratitude comes in. It doesn't erase hardship. It reframes it. It doesn't ignore struggle. It helps you remember that struggle doesn't define the whole story. Gratitude trains your mind to notice what's working. It interrupts cycles of negativity and self-pity. When you're overwhelmed, your brain will default to survival thinking, focusing on what's wrong, what's missing, and what could go wrong next. That mindset may help you react quickly, but it also drains your clarity and narrows your vision. Gratitude does the opposite. It opens your perspective. It helps you pause, breathe, and re-engage with reality not just through fear, but through appreciation and presence. This is not about pretending everything is fine. It's about being mentally strong enough to find something meaningful even when things aren't fine. The strongest people aren't the ones who never break. They're the ones who stay centered, who continue moving, and who don't allow bitterness to replace perspective. That takes more strength than snapping under pressure or constantly chasing the next win. Gratitude also neutralizes comparison, one of the most dangerous mental habits in the modern world. We are constantly surrounded by curated images of other people's lives. It's easy to look around and feel like you're behind, not good enough, or missing something everyone else seems to have. Gratitude doesn't eliminate ambition, but it gives you the stability to pursue growth without being poisoned by envy. When you're grounded in what you already have, you pursue more from a place of wholeness, not lack. That changes the tone of your success. It becomes about building something meaningful, not proving something to the world. It's a shift from anxiety-driven performance to value-driven purpose, and that's a shift worth making. Gratitude also builds resilience. It gives you mental fuel when life gets hard. It helps you remember that you've survived before, that you're not starting from nothing, and that even in the middle of pain, there is still something worth holding onto. Whether it's your health, your relationships, your growth, or simply the fact that you woke up today, you have something to be grateful for. And when you learn to anchor your mind in that truth, you become harder to break. You don't practice gratitude because everything is perfect. You practice it because your mind needs strength to endure, to lead, to grow, and to stay steady in a world that often feels unstable. Gratitude is not a weakness or a luxury. It's armor, it's fuel, it's clarity, and the most powerful part. You can choose it. Right now, you can stop, take a breath, and name 3 things that are good, not later. Not when everything is done, right now. That simple act builds the mental muscle you need, not just to survive, but to succeed in a way that feels whole, grounded, and deeply human. That's what real strength looks like. Your thoughts are not just passing ideas floating through your mind. They are powerful building blocks. Over time, they form patterns. Those patterns create beliefs, and those beliefs shape your identity, the way you see yourself, what you expect from life, and what you believe you're capable of becoming. Who you are is not just defined by what you do, but by what you repeatedly think. Your mind is a mirror, and eventually you begin to live out whatever reflection it's showing you. Most people underestimate the influence of their internal dialogue. They think thoughts are harmless as long as they don't act on them. But here's the truth. You will eventually act on what you believe. You will speak from what you think. You will build habits based on your self-image. If your thoughts are filled with self-doubt, you'll shrink back from opportunity. If they're laced with fear, you'll hesitate. If they're poisoned by shame, you'll hide your voice. But if your thoughts are rooted in strength, in truth, and in growth, you'll begin to live with boldness, clarity, and resilience. It all starts in the mind. Every breakthrough, every comeback, every achievement begins with a shift in thinking. The moment you believe something new about yourself, your behavior starts to change. That's because identity drives action. When you see yourself as disciplined, you act disciplined. When you see yourself as valuable, you start to protect your energy. When you believe you're capable of learning, you're no longer afraid to fail. But the opposite is just as true. If you see yourself as someone who always quits, your brain will seek out evidence to support that belief. If you keep repeating thoughts like "I'm not good enough" or "I always mess this up," those aren't just thoughts, they become your truth. And eventually, they become your story. That story shapes your choices, your relationships, and your future. This is why guarding your thoughts isn't optional, it's essential. You have to become aware of what you're rehearsing mentally. Are your thoughts building your future or breaking it down? Are they aligned with who you want to become? Or are they rooted in who you used to be? The mind naturally gravitates toward familiar narratives, so if you don't actively rewrite the script, you'll keep reliving the same story. The good news is, you can train your thoughts. It doesn't happen overnight, but it is possible. Start by noticing the automatic things you say to yourself. Interrupt the negative cycles, replace them with intentional, empowering beliefs, not fluffy affirmations you don't believe, real, grounded truths. Things like, "I've grown from where I was. I can learn what I don't yet know. I have value even if today wasn't perfect." Speak those truths often enough, and your brain starts to rewire. Your identity is not fixed. You are not bound by your past, your mistakes, or your current limitations. You are always becoming. But what you become depends on the thoughts you feed. And no one else gets to control that for you. It's a choice, one you make daily, in the quiet moments when no one's watching. So take your thoughts seriously. They're not background noise, they're blueprints. They shape how you show up, how you recover, how you love, how you lead. And ultimately, they shape the life you live. Who you are becoming tomorrow is being built in your mind today. Make sure the story you're telling yourself is one worth growing into. Dreams are beautiful. They inspire us, give us hope, and ignite our imagination. They allow us to see what's possible, to envision a future that's bigger than our present. But as powerful as dreams are, they don't build results. They don't create progress. They don't change your life on their own. Because no matter how big your vision is, you will always rise, or fall, to the level of your habits. That's the truth many people don't want to face. Dreams excite you. Habits shape you. We all know someone with big dreams but no discipline. They talk about what they're going to do, what they're going to become, how they're going to change their life. And maybe they even believe it, but months or years go by and not much changes. Why? Because vision without action is just fantasy. And action without consistency is wasted effort. Your habits, not your hopes, decide your future. Habits are the small, repeated choices you make every day. They're not dramatic. They don't get applause. They don't feel impressive in the moment. But over time, they stack. They compound. They build momentum. And that momentum is what eventually leads to breakthrough. It's easy to get inspired by a goal. It's harder to show up daily when the emotion wears off. But the people who actually achieve great things aren't the ones who are always fired up. They're the ones who keep showing up, especially when they don't feel like it. Dreams set the direction, but habits build the road. You can dream of being fit, but if your habits revolve around convenience, comfort, and skipping discipline, your dream never becomes reality. You can dream of building a successful business, but if your habits include procrastination, distraction, and inconsistency, the business never grows. The gap between where you are and where you want to be is not filled by motivation. It's filled by daily habits. And the hardest part, your habits reveal what you truly value, not what you say you value. You may say health is important, but your habits might tell a different story. You may say you want to be successful, But if your habits revolve around avoiding discomfort, then success isn't really your priority. It's just a wish. That's not a judgment, it's an invitation to reflect. Because once you realize that your future is built on your daily decisions, you can take your power back. The shift happens when you stop chasing highs and start building systems. When you stop waiting to feel ready and start acting out of principle. Real progress isn't made in leaps, it's made in layers. The 5 minutes you spend reading instead of scrolling. The early morning workout when no one's watching. The 1 hour of focused work when you could have coasted. These moments may seem small, but they're the foundation of everything big. It's not about being perfect. It's about being consistent. You don't need to do everything all at once. You just need to do the right things often enough for them to shape your identity. Because eventually, your habits don't just produce results, they produce belief. And once you start seeing yourself as someone who follows through, someone who grows, someone who chooses discipline, you'll rise to meet that identity. So yes, keep dreaming, keep thinking big, but don't mistake dreams for strategy. Build the habits that will carry your dream from imagination to execution. Because at the end of the day, you won't rise to the level of your intention. You'll rise or fall to the level of your habits. And that's exactly where your future is being written